Thank you for joining us on KGPT with Wichita's Biz That Is. I'm Tim Witzman, president of the Wichita Independent Business Association. And joining me today is a very interesting person, Sarah Bagby. Sarah is the owner and proprietor of Watermark Books. I imagine a lot of you have been there at Lincoln Heights. And the reason I have Sarah on is that she has both an interesting background and some interesting things to say about how people ought to do business. Sarah, let's just begin with your background. How did you get into this business?
Okay, well, I got into the book business, I like to say, because my parents were both big readers. And there was a new bookstore in town. I went and got a part-time job. I loved it there, and I have to say it felt like home, because sometimes as a child in our home it seemed like books were more important than the furniture, or they were the furniture. So it was always a very comfortable place to be. Since 1977, when the store was founded, the industry has gone through mammoth changes. So it's never been without challenges, and we've had to redefine ourselves several times over. And so it's just become a place where I can be challenged and then also stimulated by my product.
Well, it's interesting. When you were saying that as a kid, I've started out on farms in small towns, and boy, books in the library were a big deal. Because
right.
That was the entertainment. That's what showed you other places and things that you could imagine.
The transportive nature of
Absolutely.
Of a story. So
British Navy was what got me going.
Good deal.
Well, talk about some of those changes that have occurred in the book business.
Well, when we first opened, in the 1977, there were a proliferation of independent bookstores. They were sprouting up all over the place. And then in the 80s, we began to see more intentional bestseller marketing plans. And so warehousing became a big deal for publishers. And then with all this warehousing, then came along the box stores, Barnes & Noble, Borders. And now, of course, and what happened was there was a shift, actually. Every bookstore or every book distributor depends on bestsellers. So the independent stores had the bestseller market. That switched to the box stores. Mm-hmm. And then after that, those went to Amazon. So they suffered. So there's been this sort of circular pattern of sales where the market didn't necessarily expand to meet the square footage and the distribution as much as it cannibalized another source. So at this point, in the book business, independent stores that are very active in their community, that have a combination of online and in-store sales, are flourishing.
Very good. Let's talk about that active in the community. You are, and I know an awful lot goes on at Watermark. Mm-hmm. So tell me how you kind of built that.
Well, books are a very personal product. But when you read a book, you kind of want to talk about it. I mean, you want somebody around you to have to talk about it. People want to meet the author. So we did a combination of starting book clubs and then featuring authors as they were touring to talk about their books. We also we've added the cafe into our store in 1996, and that added an element of community that we didn't have before, because not just one person coming to a meeting or coming to buy a book for themselves or as a gift. There would be a group of people come in and together, and then they would see neighbors. And so we've become a community gathering place that offers wonderful programming.
Is the cafe like a loss leader, or does it do all right?
No, it does okay. It's a 30% of the store business. Mm-hmm. And the thing about food and the restaurant, and it is all under one roof,
right?
Or ownership, so to speak, is that there is a bigger margin if it's managed correctly. So you can always, despite the fact that each product is a smaller sales point, your margins you can play with a little better. You can control your costs. I mean, when we buy a book, it's a price based on something. So
what do you think others have done wrong that haven't emulated you?
Other bookstores?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah.
Well, I think perhaps they got into the business because they love to read, but don't love to sell or share. Because that is it. I mean, no matter what we do, we still have to have customers come in the store.
Right.
No matter how community-minded we are, no matter how philanthropic, how active in the community, we still have to have people come into the store that want to buy a book, attend a book club, go to the cafe, have a cup of coffee.
How many book clubs do you have going right now?
We have about 11 book clubs at this point. We just added a new one at 7 a.m. for
wow.
history buffs.
I'd like that, but I'm not sure about the 7 a.m. I have to think about that part.
Well,
yeah, because I know a friend of mine you have the French book club there.
Absolutely. We have a French book club, Spanish, mystery. We have a book club that met today that focuses on one publisher's book that's an international publisher.
Oh, I see.
So
very interesting. But that's not all you do. You do other things in community, don't you? Beyond the book clubs? Well,
yeah, we partner with dozens of people. We have partnered with Wichita State University to provide speakers of a caliber that they probably couldn't afford or couldn't even get on their calendars, that kind of thing. So we provide a lot of services. We are very active in our little neighborhood of Four Corners region. We're working right now with College Hill Elementary. They just recently had a fire and they're meeting on another side of town. They've lost their library. We're partnering with them. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with Sarah Bagby on Wichita's Biz That Is.